Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Mark Warner, to statewide news service, jbiztechvalley.com. And now, as you can see, the columnist for the Jewish Press.
Right, I'm having a lot of fun doing all of that. In fact, my column in the Jewish Press is called Albany Beat, and I talk about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. But someone who relates well to the Jewish community is our guest now. It's Carm Basile. He's the executive director, chief executive officer of Capital District Transportation Authority, CDTA. So welcome to the Jewish View.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here
Great
with
to have
both
you
of you.
show.
So if we get on a bus ride, we should get on a bus ride together.
We've got to get you on the bus, though, Rabbi.
Well, you know, when I worked in the Senate, I always took the bus down after my second week because I noticed how many people in the Senate took the bus. Mm-hmm. And they all said, oh, 5 o'clock, got to go get my last bus. My last bus is leaving now.
No. It's way later than 5 o'clock.
No, but it was 5:45, 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever it was. But, you know, they said, well, I got to finish up my last thing. But they had to leave. And because I drove and I could leave later, I was the one stuck. So after 2 weeks of getting into the routine, I realized, and I took the bus.
There you go.
And I take the Hackett bus. So the Hackett bus, the last bus was 6 o'clock.
I think you were the last guy on the Hackett bus.
And I had to get out, so I made sure that we were.
I remember that. Mark Gronick, last guy on the Hackett bus. That's a note for history.
Talk about scheduling, though, but recently, what was been a year ago, that they had a major rescheduling. I know that because I do live in Bethlehem, and therefore we had a bus going down our street, and not that I took it that much, on Ellesmere Avenue, and then they diverted all those Kenwood, Ellesmere. I mean, there was a lot of diversion now, a lot of rerouting.
Right, and a lot of that, Rabbi, is exactly what you said. Many of our routes over time had developed these little jogs to take care of a neighborhood or to take care of a group of individuals. And over time, that really wasn't the most efficient way to run the service. What we need to do is operate up and down streets and keep the jogs to a minimum. It was amazing. Once we did that, we saw about a 15% increase in ridership. Amazing results just by eliminating what had become somewhat unproductive lefts, rights, and jogs.
You know, once you say that, and Mark's making a little bit of a joke of it, but sometimes I see the buses going down at 9:30 p.m., and there's like 2 people on it, and then I say, well, is that going to be worth it? I mean,
For those 2 people.
For the 2 people it is, but oftentimes when you see it with very few people on it, it's headed somewhere where it's going to pick up a lot of people. Not every trip is 100% productive, and oftentimes it's the trip in the opposite direction that you see.
People
that
going to work, nobody's going.
Exactly.
Do you, and this, if anything I'm going to ask you during the show is too much minutia, because you're a big picture guy, then let me know and I'll excuse
Well, the problem is I've been here for 35 years, so I know some of the minutia.
Okay, but I'm just giving you an out.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
So with these bus routes, do you take an account of how many people are using it at different times of the day? And can you put in shorter buses so you don't have such a long bus? Can you bring shorter buses in?
Like school buses do that, they give
at
these
certain
mini
times
buses.
of the day?
Two answers. It's really a couple of questions there. Yes, we now know much more than we did about segments, route segments, and we can break down productivity by morning peak, midday, afternoon. But the more important answer on the second part, you know, the use of shorter buses, we're asked that often. And the savings, the efficiency gains are just not all that much for us because it's the same operator making the same amount of money with the same benefit package. Very little savings on a 40-foot to a 30-foot bus. So we've looked at that many times.
But perception from the constituent or from the community?
Perhaps, but I guess there's a little bit of perception, there's a little bit of reality. The reality is you don't save much. And the perception is, honestly, with our increasing ridership, we need, most times of the day, all the seats we can get.
Okay.
So the answer to that, unfortunately, is no.
Now, let me tell you, I've been to a Live at 5, and I see that there's a CDTA booth there. So you're promoting yourself, and you're sponsoring the concerts. You're one of the 4 main sponsors. So you have a lot of swag. So that's what I got.
Yeah, it's
No, now we can play
That's what I
beach
got the
ball.
ball for.
I thought Mark wanted to play some
wanted to-
beach ball
It's
over.
swag, you know, Mark very much wanted to catch the CDTA
on.
ball.
All right,
There he
there
goes.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're gonna, just like we're at a ball game or something.
And
Make
you
sure you
have
get the logo
And you have
facing.
something called the Navigator.
Yep.
And I wanted to know if you could explain
Sure.
what this is, or it says on the back of the card, how does it work?
Yep.
But I'll let you take a few seconds.
Well,
and-
that's in development. That's not available.
Oh, good, so we're on the cusp.
Oh, you're on the
here.
cusp.
Good.
It's
This
in
is-
development. There's a pilot group of about 300 people using that. That's a smart card. And everything is moving towards smart card. And you can load
There you
onto
go.
that card all of our different fare products. Or you can choose to just load cash and have it operate as a debit card.
So when is this going to come into reality?
Right after Labor Day is when you'll start to see it move into the mass marketplace.
2016.
Oh yeah, this year.
Yeah.
And then its partner, or its cousin, is mobile ticketing. So you'll be able to put that instrument, so to speak, on your phone.
Oh.
So you'll be able to get on the bus, get next to the fare box,
Aren't you
and
smart?
just have your ride deducted.
Did you learn about this because a salesman came in and pitched it to you? Or did you go to a trade show and learn about it?
No, most of what happens in our industry is learned.
Through trade shows or?
Well, there are a number of transit systems that are doing it.
They are.
So, our industry sort of keeps pace with each other. We keep pace with each other. There really aren't salesmen in that regard.
But I meant, did someone come to you or did you?
No, what happened is we were due to upgrade our fare box system. Basically, the fare box system has a shelf life of 10 to 15 years. So it was due to be upgraded. All the technology pointed us to smart card and mobile ticketing, and we were ready for it. Our internal technology, information technology department is pretty mature, and you can't add technology if you don't have the people to support the technology.
So what happens when one of your so-called fare boxes go down and it's electronic?
You fix them.
Yes, but in the meantime, in the middle of a route,
We have a team of people. If it's serious, we'll go out and fix it on the spot.
okay, but the bus doesn't pull over, the bus
No,
goes to
bus
the end of the
continues.
route.
Bus
So what
continues.
happens during that
Well,
short period?
you might have a short duration where, people aren't paying the fare. We void the
was
fare.
me, I did that. I
but-
had that happen.
He waited for the voice.
No.
He waited for the fare box to break. Boy, oh boy, Mark, that's not a good thing.
No, that happened, and I said, well, I'll give it to you later, and he goes, no, just go
Yep,
sit down,
yep.
don't worry about it.
Listen,
So I got a free
customers would
ride.
rather get to where they want to go on time.
Yeah.
Than us fool around with a fare box system. And, frankly, even if 50 people were voided, you've lost $65 in the grand scheme of things. You've got a bunch of happy people who know that you made the right decision.
And you have a budget of how many hundreds of millions?
81.
81
Yeah,
million.
81.
Oh, not
And listen,
81.
I consider every dollar important,
I
but
know you do,
you
but
also
I'm-
have to make the right
yeah.
decisions. And
No, I'm with you. I just wanted you to know that I just came to mind when you said that about the fare box.
That's pretty
I hadn't thought of
funny.
it in a while.
That's
but,
fine.
Why don't you have bus service to Global Foundries? Or do
There's right now not the volume or density to support it. We've talked to them, we've worked with the folks at Global Foundries. Here's the problem for us, the common origin. Where do you start bus service? Where do people live? Where are they coming from? Right now, they're so scattered that we can't identify the right places to get the numbers of people that we require. And frankly, it's located in a suburban, spread out community. I think I just lost my microphone.
All right, let's put it right
Yep.
in.
Put it through the bottom of the hook.
Okay, I will, bear with me.
Well, maybe the ball over there
Okay.
is interfering.
I think it was the ball.
Put the ball. I'll hold the ball then.
I'll just keep that here. But that's been the issue, finding the right spots to start from. And
Yeah,
the
I
fact-
understand, because, well, really, the Capital District is so diverse, I mean, really compared to other cities. I mean, you got Saratoga, and then you have Schenectady, and you have Troy, and, you're coming from south.
It is, Rabbi, you're
Talk about
correct.
Having an IT guy to have to fix things.
It's-
Mark
it's-
Dirty
Yeah,
RT.
he's doing double duty. It's really a problem of geography. When I talk to my comrades, the people who do my job in Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, there's one dominant city, Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo are the dominant city,
Yeah,
and then
that's it.
everything operates around and into those cities. Here,
Even like Manhattan, you could say New York also, everything is
Dominant.
Manhattan, and so you just work out
So
from
for
one point.
us, when we get requests for transportation to Malta, and the home base for us is Troy, Albany, Schenectady, in and of itself, it's an issue. So in some ways, our geography creates problems for us
But
when we
this
look to
can't be
schedule
the
service.
first area that's had this type of problem, so
yeah, it is.
would you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Tell me another area
Well, I mean,
that has
it's
that
around
kind.
the country, around the country.
Well,
I don't know. But
there's
couldn't you
a way
have
to handle it.
Yeah, couldn't you have a park and ride and have
Oh,
all
sure.
the people from Global Foundries come to a parking lot and then take the bus to work?
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Doesn't it sound good? Are
It
people
doesn't.
going to do that?
No.
They're not.
Okay.
People.
That's why I like this.
But what happens is they get if you get them 2/3 of the way in their private automobile,
they're going to go the other third.
I'm going to go the other third.
Okay.
Where our service works best is in traditional urban environments like Albany, like Schenectady, like Troy, where there's lots of people crammed in, and parking is an issue. In these big suburban developments, parking is not an issue. There's more parking spaces than there are people and cars.
Right.
We are not proponents of more parking spaces and more parking
Right, okay.
garages. We advocate against that. Keep it at a minimum, sort of back to your days at the Capitol.
Yeah, that's right.
And I hate to say this, but almost force people to make a decision. Make them think about how they travel.
Right.
And more these days, people are choosing transit because they're moving back to the cities.
Right.
Some of them don't even own automobiles. They don't want to own an automobile.
But economically also, you figure that, if a person sat down and figuring it out, I'm just thinking myself, by the time you're done with gas, and, they say for mileage, it's like 50 cents, because you got to give an oil change after a while, and then how much is parking in downtown areas. By the time you're done, how much does it cost to, and for compared to CDTA, how much does it really cost?
I know for a fact that we're cheaper than most monthly parking
Absolutely.
lots here
Oh,
in
yeah.
downtown Albany. Not so much in Troy, but we're getting there, and we're getting there in Schenectady.
And what about Wi-Fi on the buses?
Every one of them.
Everyone is
Everyone.
Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah, Wi-Fi, ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Free Wi-Fi?
Free Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the other
I'm
part.
sensing a theme here.
Once you get a free pass, you have a free pass on the
Free pass,
bus.
free ride,
Okay.
Wi-Fi.
So now I'm going to give you my really big picture of what I've asked several people on this program. And I'm glad you're here, because this is really, we have dramatic music. Okay. Anyway.
I hear it.
My thought is that we would be like a regional transportation area and have, like, you see these billions of dollars being put into, whether it's LaGuardia Airport or the tram, which has 2 trains going from LaGuardia to Kennedy, or and they built it along the Van Wyck Expressway, which is one of the busiest highways in the country. And, you just have so many billions of federal dollars going for these projects that are based in New York City. Wouldn't it be helpful to have a transportation loop or some transportation connection between Glens Falls, Saratoga, Malta, Troy, Catskill, Hudson, Chatham, Schenectady, Cobleskill, where you might have an above-ground, rail system?
Tram, you mean?
Well, it's an interesting thought, but I'll throw back at you at a billion. The rule of thumb is $1 billion a mile. So you just rattled off.
That much?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Oh,
About $1 billion. And again, it's an order of magnitude. It could be a little less, could be a little more. So $1 billion a mile, that's a lot of miles, number one. Number two, this business, and I tell people this all for the 35 years I've
Yeah.
been in this business, my business is a volume and density business.
Uh-huh.
You need densely populated areas that produce high volume to support this rail network that we're going to establish. This let's call it Mark's Regional
Yes.
Rail Network that, probably is, I'm guessing, 40 or 50 miles that you just sort of outlined.
Yeah, a radius of 50
So $50
miles.
billion system has to generate 50 billion riders a year. Well, that's the problem. Economically, it's difficult. Not impossible, difficult.
Because I would think, there are people who come to, let's say, Cross Gates from Cobleskill.
Sure.
And from Chatham.
Yep.
And instead of driving, they could just take this tram or this above-ground transportation system and do their shopping and then go back to their
I say
stop.
our buses are there for them.
Really?
Yeah.
From Chatham, from
Well, Chatham is
Cobleskill?
not in our service area, so you'd have to change.
Right.
You're getting into something that would require some legislative changes.
Of course.
And we're open to that. You know, we're doing some things right now in the taxi business where
Well, I'm
we've
gonna get to Uber and-
changed legislation. It can be done. I just worry about the cost. At $1 billion a mile, that's not something I'm willing to
But you know,
take on.
okay, so you mean that it's worth it in New York City, a density
Very
like
much.
New York City, it's
Very
worth
much.
it. But coming up here
Tougher.
to connect everyone,
Tougher.
it is.
And you know, these federal programs that you mentioned are competitive. So what the federal government does is looks at the different regions that are applying or architecting projects and say, is our money spent wisely in Albany, or is it spent more wisely in Phoenix?
Yeah, well, for the first time, we're going to have our U.S. Senator as being the leader. So,
A good friend of ours.
you know, I mean,
A
Chuck
good friend of
Schumer
ours.
can make it rain.
He can make it rain, but I'm not sure he can make it pour.
Of course he can.
Yeah, he can.
Of course he can.
It's a thought, though. It's a thought
So-
we're thinking about. I'll leave you just with $1 billion a mile as the thumbnail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
you know
tough.
what? In my view, it would be well worth it because if you build it, they will come.
I heard that somewhere.
And if you build the system and people see that there is this transportation
Mm-hmm.
network, you know, you have a green line, a red line, a rail
Mm-hmm.
line, whatever it might be to get people from one place to the other. I mean,
Yeah.
we become a different type of
But I must
different
tell you
type of
that
area
if
right
you're
away.
spending billions and billions of dollars, you really shouldn't be chancing it to build it, they will come. And really on the federal programs, and I think this is a good thing, you have to have the justification. You have to prove to the federal government before they're going to give you billions
Well,
that you can support it.
well, then you start something. You start somewhere.
But you need
And
the
then
numbers.
and then you prove that it did work, and then they give you more money to expand it. I mean, that's what they did in DC with the,
But you're comparing DC, New
With the
York
metro.
City to Albany. It's not valid.
okay.
Geographically and population-wise. I think of myself as someone who ought to be thinking about how public money is spent.
Yeah.
And I think we should propose good things. We should propose big things, bold ideas like that's what I love about these ideas. Your bold ideas,
Yes.
they make you think. But at the end of the day, you still have to justify how you're going to pay for it.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. If you can justify we can pay for it, I'm with you.
Would it limit the amount of buses that were needed if you built something like this?
No,
That
you probably need more.
people-
You usually need more buses to support the rail network because the bus system then becomes the feeder
Right.
to the rail network. So I would suggest, especially if we did that circle that you outlined, we'd need more bus service. I mean,
Uh-huh.
right now, we don't go to Chatham.
Right.
So we'd have to have connecting
You
services.
know, talk about more, just what are the statistics? I mean, just how many buses and what is your ridership?
Well, yeah, the good question. Rabbi, budget's $81 million, as we talked about, the annual operating budget. We own and operate about 250 buses.
And there's one station, I mean, there's one warehouse?
Oh,
or
well,
No,
what?
this
no.
is, but
There's-
this is coming up.
there's
He's
three-
gonna-
there's-
You're building a new headquarters in Latham.
No, that's one of my dreams, not yet.
Oh, that's not happening.
There's
Oh.
there's three facilities.
Yeah.
One here in Albany, West Albany, one in Troy at the base of Hoosick Street, one in Schenectady on Maxim Road. So we have three operating facilities. So we are a little bit spread out. Ridership, annual ridership is about 17 million. That's 17 million clicks to the fare box, whether it be with your card
Mm-hmm.
or with cash, growing. It's 25% higher today than it was 5 years ago.
You know, why is that?
Three
That's a
reasons.
big jump.
Three
I mean, that's a
reasons.
big
We've
jump.
done a good job in what we call developing universal access agreements, mainly with colleges, where the college student's ID card is live on our bus. It works with our fare box, and we negotiate the rates with the colleges. So the college reimburses us. The student or the faculty or the staff member rides free of
So
charge.
they don't have these SUNY buses anymore?
Very few.
Those
Very few.
purple, white buses?
Very few. They've-
Purple growls
Yeah,
or the
we're
green monster, the green
We're the
monster
purple
is-
growler, we're the green monster. But we have 11 colleges right now under contract. We also
Mm-hmm.
have major employers like ShopRite, all their associates use our buses. Albany Medical Center just signed on with us.
And the employer pays for the fare?
Employer pays a negotiated fare with us,
Very good.
and we count the rides and use that as the billing mechanism. So that's number one. Number two, something we touched on, I think Mark touched on, a return to urban living. People are moving back into the cities now. Albany's catching up to Saratoga and Troy, and even Schenectady has quite a bit of housing being built in the downtown areas. And thirdly, the whole millennium movement, this I don't need a car as part of my life, is re-entering, and all of those things now are forcing our ridership up. So 81 million, 17 million, 250 buses,
And how much
650
does a bus
employees.
cost?
A bus itself?
Yeah.
$450,000.
Really, it's a lot.
And whether it's a big, long bus or a short bus, it doesn't take that much more to build?
The cost, maybe about a $50,000 delta.
Difference. That's
But
it.
the cost to operate, almost
No.
insignificant.
Right, but when you actually, and you get them built in Hornell, or where do you?
No,
get
they're
them?
built, actually, our buses are built in California, Hayward, California.
How do you get them here? You drive them?
Oh, yeah, they drive them.
You drive them 3,000 miles?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so you break them in.
How many miles does it go for? That'd be always, saying when you retire a bus, after years or miles?
Years, it's about, the earliest is 12 years. We have some buses that are 18 years old and still operating quite
How
nicely.
many miles you put on?
Oh,
such a
gosh,
bus?
500,000.
That's what I was thinking.
500,000.
And you keep them
Wow.
up, obviously they're keeping
Oh, they're
them.
kept up. We have a tremendous maintenance staff.
How much more sophisticated have the buses gotten from in the past 10 years, let's say?
Biggest change I've seen in my career is the sophistication on bus technology, and that's what it is now. We don't hire mechanics; we hire technicians. They're much more focused today on diagnostics.
So the bus is like a computer?
It's just like your car.
It's like a
Like
computer
a big
instead of
computer
a-
on
yeah.
wheels. So I used to call it a tin can on wheels. Now I call it a big computer on wheels. It's amazing to go down into our garage and all the technicians are sitting there with a laptop, propped up on their workbench, and they're looking just as much at the laptop as they are the engine.
So let me ask you this other question, because I don't know how much time we have
We
left.
have a few minutes.
Uber, Lyft, I mean, is that something that you're against, or
No, very much in favor.
you're in favor of Uber?
Well, really, that'd be interesting. I was ready for you to speak.
Well, no,
Big competition.
well, it depends on how you look at it. We think that there ought to be more mobility options for the people who live and work here, more choices. And we ought to all work together so that the choices have connections. In many cities, what's happening now with Uber and Lyft is they're providing the last mile of transportation. So for example, we get you out to your neighborhood in Del Mar, but you live 3/4 of a mile from the bus stop. With technology now, you can arrange to have an Uber vehicle meet you. Your smart card is the method of payment, and it's automatically deducted as part of your trip. Bus takes you 8 miles out to Del Mar, Uber takes you the last 3/4 of a mile to your neighborhood.
Like the park and ride on Route 32.
Exactly.
And to go to Boylston Drive, that's a 2-mile schlep, so now you can.
Now we take you right to your
Uber,
driveway. We'll pull
yeah.
right into the drive. The Uber car will pull right into the
Isn't that
driveway.
great?
So we're very much in favor. We're talking to them. Eventually, they're going to be in upstate New York. It's just a
Right.
question of when,
Well,
not if. I don't.
I think next year, I think, because this year's an election year and the people need to get those last-minute donations to their campaign accounts. So I think that, I'm saying it, not you, I'm saying it.
That's
I'm
above my
not
pay
you, I'm
grade.
just, okay. So let me ask you,
Yeah.
now that we got that, the new Latham headquarters, that's just a dream of yours?
Well, actually, a reporter asked me a few months ago, what's on the list here, the things that you'd like to accomplish in your career, and that's one of them. I think that we ought to be, and we are, looking to centralize 3 buildings that are each 50-plus years old into one consolidated headquarters. And if we were to do that, it has to be centrally located. It doesn't have to necessarily be Latham, but Latham is about as center as
Okay.
you can find between Schenectady, Troy, and Albany, if
I
that
see.
triangle. How real? I think
And
it's...
then you would put all 3 facilities
Exactly.
in one.
Exactly. And right now, we're investing a lot of money to keep our buildings state-of-the-art, but it's sort of like your house.
It's retrofit.
After a while, you're retrofitting and you're wondering, and most of it is technology. And can we accommodate this technology in this 60-year-old building?
And it might be more cost-effective just to
Exactly.
build new as
Exactly.
opposed to
Yeah,
renovate.
yeah, but it's a lot of money.
Now, I know that there's a large amount of property that's down by Hudson Avenue by the Greyhound bus station there that you could probably have a real good transportation hub.
We've been talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about that, not for our headquarters, but a transportation center where all modes,
Like
bus
Port
station,
Authority.
exactly, bus stations, CDTA, taxis, could all meet and people could transfer, and a Penn or a Grand Central for those that travel to New York, that kind of thing. I don't know. We're still undecided, I think, as a community as to what the proper land use is down there, what type of development should occur, but we're very active in that discussion. I think the capital region needs a better station than what we have down there right now. I don't
Yeah,
think.
with the trailways, but
Yeah, I
Greyhound
think
station?
it's
Of course,
not
yeah.
in keeping with
Oh, of course not.
the community that we are.
But that's not, would that come under the CDTA auspices?
We
Because
can
it's
do that.
not now.
We can.
You can.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We want
That's how you keep growing. And
Absolutely.
so you want to have Greyhound and trailways
All under one
underneath-
roof.
Under one roof.
We've talked to them about, acquiring the property, we would rebuild it, and they'd become our tenant. And they're open to that. I mean, they realize that building is small and outdated.
Yeah,
needs
they
an upgrade.
They still have those tiny TV screens that were from the 1960s.
Well,
and
if you go down
70s.
there on a major holiday, like the day before Thanksgiving,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, people are spewing out of there. It's uncomfortable. It's it just needs something, and I don't think a paint job is going to do it. I think you need
Right.
think you need to rebuild it.
You got to do something more than a paint job.
Yes, every now and then.
So what would you like to bring up that we didn't have enough time, or I didn't think
Well, as
enough to
usual,
ask
you
about?
kind of covered, you kind of got a lot of angles in there. I guess, technology's been a game changer. Real-time information, for example, about a year ago, we introduced that so that now mobile apps, people just take their phone out and they find out what time the bus is coming. What time the bus is coming, not what time the bus is scheduled, what
Right.
time it's coming.
Right.
Interesting. Complaints went down by 50% within a month.
Really?
Because the
Because-
anxiety.
Now I know what time it's coming. I don't have to like it, but I know what time it's
Right.
coming.
So I'll live with it.
And I'll live with it. Or, if it's cold or it's
Well-
raining, I'll go inside.
Well, I was standing on the corner of,
Well, you probably have those, but this takes
No,
that
I'm
out.
just-
Now that story, which is real,
Yeah.
is no longer, because now I'm standing on the corner of, and what I do is I go to my mobile app and I pull up the
well, you have the arrival times in the bus
select stations.
shelters, right?
But now you don't need that. You bang it up on your phone, or you hit the computer before you leave your
Well,
office and look.
You also have a wonderful customer call
Yeah, they're
center.
great. They're great. Patient
And-
as heck.
Really, I mean, and they may not always know which way you're talking about going because the passenger isn't communicating that just right.
Well,
So,
Albany's a different layout. Is it east
Yeah.
or is it west? Is
West.
New Scotland Avenue east or west or inbound or outbound? It's
So-
northwest.
Yeah.
right, so you gotta, I'm heading to the Capitol on New Scotland Avenue. When is this bus coming?
Yep.
So,
Well, the technology's helped them too now, because now they know
Yeah.
where the buses are and they know what time. 10 years ago, when you called our
Don't
information
forget it.
center, they didn't know because we didn't have the technology
It was
to
a
integrate.
tragedy.
Now we know.
yeah, no, so I'm here to compliment you on that.
Well, thank you.
No,
Appreciate
I
that.
think that you really did a wonderful job with restructuring. You're still doing more restructuring on the lines.
Just finished Saratoga for the
Right.
second time.
Okay.
And we'll probably cycle back now. We have to look at Troy and Schenectady again. It's a constant. You should look at that all the time.
But you are at the hearings. You are the point guy, right? You
I don't
go
know
to
me
the
personally,
hearing.
but I go to them, but we have a great staff that
No,
does
you
most of that.
absolutely. But you go to them. I mean, you do show up. I mean, you're just not
Well,
a
it's
figurehead.
part of my job. I need
You're
to-
just
I
not
need
a
to-
figurehead, is what I'm saying.
No, I like to play in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this
I
is.
might only be a pinch hitter these days, but I like to get in and play.
That's important
Yeah.
to show that that you're showing up, that you care enough. You're just not sending
I still come to work every day.
the deputy director or deputy, whatever. Also.
I'm having a heck of a time with your technology.
It's a good thing that
I
we're
don't-
just
I
about
don't- I
That's
don't
right.
know.
here.
We're done.
1 minute to go. Listen, well, I want to thank you very much, Joe, again, that Navigator we ride. So hopefully Mark and I will do some more
Okay.
riding on the CDT, but also
That's
our
right.
viewers also will, and, look forward to bigger and better things
Yes.
from you.
Fellas, thanks for having me. It's great fun to be reacquainted with some old friends and to talk about the nitty-gritty of the transit business. It's very seldom that I can appear with someone who knows a little bit about what we do, the history, where we came from. It's important. I mean, we can talk about the days of paper transfers if you'd like.
Which I still have a few.
I'm sure
I
you do.
saved.
Yeah,
Just
it's
to,
great. Tissue paper.
but thank you, Carm,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.